The time is 7 o'clock. Will you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Item 3.02, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Lemon, seconded by Mr. Morales. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Item 4.01, approval of modification of minutes from the September 7th governing board meeting. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Ms. Ewers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Item 4.02, approval modification of minutes from the September 7th executive session. May I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'll abstain from this one.
Yes. Moved by Mr. Lemons, seconded by Ms. Ewers, an abstention from Ms. Trejo. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0-1. Right, 4-0-1, excuse me. Counted wrong. I omitted myself. I apologize. Item 5.01, open call to the public. We do not have any blue cards, so we are going to skip that for this evening. So item 6.01, Dr. Driscoll, Celebrate Excellence.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Tonight I have a few items to celebrate. The National Buddies Best Organization recently recognized our Rover Elementary Skills Club. At Rover, Best Buddies empower young students to become advocates for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities and form meaningful connections with their peers to create a more inclusive school environment. Rover students participating in Best Buddies program visit the Rover Skills students before school, during lunch to play games and interact with their buddies and create meaningful relationships. Ashley Sudman, and a third grade teacher at Scales Technology Academy, and Ann Chung, a science teacher at Mosley Middle School, were each awarded $500 to purchase supplies for their classrooms through the APS Supply My Classroom Award program. This award program is for Arizona Title I K-12 teachers in the APS service territory. Thank you to APS for their generosity and contribution to our schools. The Arizona Cardinals recently brought a mini training camp to Frank Elementary and Nevitt Elementary for a fun morning of play. Students started with a series of warm-up exercises and then rotated through a variety of drill stations that involved throwing, catching, and running around obstacles. I did not get an invite to this. Just want to let it be known. I can't throw it like I used to, my shoulders, but I can still run a little bit. The Arizona Cardinals will be bringing their Gatorade training camp to Broadmoor Elementary, along with several other Tempe elementary schools throughout the school year. Broadmoor, you're on deck. I'm coming. I was actually bummed that I didn't get to go to this. I watched the video and I was bummed, so I cried a little bit, but thank you. I did get an invite for that. I just couldn't come. Through Elementary School was transformed into a pop-up dental clinic to provide free dental care to hundreds of students, thanks to the contributions of several community partners on Thursday and Friday of last week. The event was put on by the Team Smile Dental Outreach in partnership with Delta Dental and the Arizona Coyotes. Now we have a short video to play, which we would like to share to show the success of that day. Now we have a short video to play. I see it moving. And that's the end of my presentation for today. There we go.
Today, we partnered up with Team Smile and Delta Dental here at View Elementary in Tempe, and we helped 280 kids get dental care, which is really exciting.
It feels good to get back to the community. I remember when I was little and our local teams would come into our school and kind of get back and communicate with the kids. It was a great experience, so kind of giving that back to these kids is awesome.
Giving back is at the core of what we do. I think it's not just about what we do on the ice, it's about what we do off the ice and what we do for the community.
Tonight, we celebrate a very historic school, a school that prides itself on being the heartbeat of their community and a pathway for young children to grow and succeed. A place where respect is given by every teacher, reciprocated by every student. Thank you, Frank Elementary, for your commitment to building strong community engagement, a culture built on trust and respect, and a relentless pursuit of student growth and achievement. For these reasons, and for many more, it is my honor to share with you that changing the world begins with Frank Elementary.
Changing the world. Change that begins with students. Change that begins with community. It begins with parents. It begins with employees. At Tempe Elementary Schools, changing the world begins with me.
Frank is a super special place. We put a huge emphasis on growth and success, and we celebrate their successes, whether it's big or small.
Frank Elementary is a great school because the kids know that we care about them and they want to be here. I love to see, and I love, those aha moments and getting to spend all day in the classroom.
Come here ready to teach and help every student each day, not just the students that they interact with in the day or in their classroom, but every student on campus. And then in the classroom, we have so many different manipulatives and just really gives them the tools to be better learners.
The staff is amazing. We live farther away. We're not in the district, and we do the drive just to keep her here because she has an amazing teacher, and she's always had amazing teachers. I love how much attention my daughter has gotten. I really want her to be prepared for the world later on in life.
If you can manipulate something, that adds another layer of learning for students, not only in your basic manipulatives like math, but we want them to build clouds if they're doing a weather unit. That leads to that imagination piece where they can see themselves outside of school, outside of the community, and imagine the possibilities.
It makes me happy because we get to do a lot of things and like a lot of science and math. I love math. And we get to do a lot of stuff too.
We encourage the kids to respond. We care about the kids, that's why we're here, especially in this community in particular. If you are at Frank, it's because you want to be here.
Frank Elementary has that deep connection with the community. We have a bell in our campus. I believe our school is the only one with that, and families remember when they used to ring the bell to tell children it's time to come to school. So it's very rewarding for us to see their families, their grandparents, and make those connections.
What's at the heart of Frank Elementary is the passion of our teachers.
I think Frank brings out the best in students because the students come to school and know that they are loved and supported and cared about by every staff member.
There was a teacher interaction. She made us feel comfortable that she was taking care of our kids, and she knew how to open them up to learn. Frank teachers just, they care. They care about my kids.
They understand the great responsibility we have to our students and to make sure that we are the best we can be for them. So our school culture is very important to all of us who work here.
What I like most about her, she treats her students the same way, with all respect.
Frank has always had like an open communication with the parents and the students. That way we know what our daughter's doing all the time or what we as parents can be involved in as well.
We want to be partners with our parents and make sure we're working together for improving their child's lives.
We really do just care about the kids and we want them to do well. We all have that same mission in mind and we want them to grow up to be successful.
I think that anybody that comes to our campus can feel that energy and they can see the positivity and like the happiness that we cultivate here. We do whatever it takes.
I believe we have some members from Frank in the audience. I see Martha, the principal. I see Miss Chappell, and I also see Miss Farley. And then you were on the video, I believe. And I couldn't get your name. I was like, I couldn't get. Okay. So thank you so much for coming. And that is it for my Celebrate for Excellence for this week.
Thank you very much, Dr. Driscoll. I have a special place in my heart for Frank and the town of Guadalupe, and I just so appreciative of all that you guys do for our students that are in that area. It's really wonderful. I'm also one of those weirdos who really likes getting their teeth cleaned. I call it a pedicure for my mouth. I love it. And I always have believed that if we teach children very young to do preventative maintenance of their mouth, that we would have far less problems in other areas. So thank you very much for making sure that happens. Yeah, you're gonna think about it next time you go to the dentist, huh? I know, it's so great. All right, so item .71, approval of consent agenda. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon, right? I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, item passes unanimously. I want to highlight 7.04, approval for Frank Elementary to accept 24 children's bikes, 1 adult bike, and a PE curriculum valued at $5,000 from the All Kids Bike Program and Strider Education Foundation. So congratulations for that. I think we've had that program at 2 other schools in our district, and it's been very successful. So I'm excited for the kids to have that opportunity. All right, item 8.01, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of the district instructional mentor position for middle schools and corresponding job description. Dr. Driscoll, would you, or does anybody, or actually, sorry, a motion to discuss, please?
Motion to discuss or approve the possible district instructional mentor position for middle schools and corresponding job description.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Dr. Driscoll, can you give us some background on this, please?
No.
You mean yes, of course I will.
So with your approval of this, we applied for a grant through the Arizona K-12 Center. And as part of that grant, the district received $75,000 for this position to help it's 0 through 2nd year teachers at our middle school level. And so this position will be a mentor for those teachers at our middle school. So it's awesome. It's awesome that we got this. It's awesome that we got the grant. But again, it's one of those things that is not coming out of our M&O, is actually us being proactive and going after grants to help our students and provide more resources for our teachers and students. So it's really awesome.
We have a question from Ms. Trejo.
Thank you, Madam President. Quick question, maybe for Mr. McGinney or Dr. Driscoll. We haven't hired anyone for this position yet.
Correct.
So I was just wondering why for mentor teacher it's only 3 years experience, and it doesn't say required or minimum. Just wondering why I would assume we would want maybe 5 or more.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. In partnering with the K-12 Center, a lot of it we based off of the partnership and expectations, and so really it's the opportunity to find the right person. And so a lot of times when we look at that teaching experience, even with administration, it's 0 to 3 years. So
that makes sense, and I'm glad you're partnering with the K-12 Center because I know they have very high standards for the profession of teaching. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seeing no other questions or comments from the board, can I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve our new mentor teachers. And let me read it as requested here. Instructional mentor position for middle schools and corresponding job description as recommended.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes unanimously. Item 8.02, 8.03.4, and .05 are all first reads of proposed governing board policy changes. Ms. Trejo, do you mind walking us through why we do this and where it comes from?
Absolutely. Those of you who are joining us for the first time, these policies are state law. They were not written by school boards. Every single school district is obligated to legally implement these policies. So we did not write them. We may not agree with them, some of them we may, it doesn't matter, but we have no choice but to pass them because they are state law, as we took our oath to uphold our state laws.
Okay, so first off for 8.02, can can I have a motion to discuss, well, yeah, motion to discuss it, please.
Motion to discuss first read for governing board policy. And I'm just going to add that every policy we have a first read and a second read, so none of these policies will be passed. But again, they will need to be passed legally or we will get sued, most likely, so.
I'll second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to discuss passes. So now we're going to have the opportunity to throw out any suggested edits, which is always like murky waters for this. Mr. Morales, can you explain real quick why we think it's dangerous? This part is dangerous. Murky waters. I like that better.
Yeah, thank you, President Windsor. As soon as we add a comma, we are outside legal compliance with the state, let alone changing any part of the policy ourselves. And I will add to that in my personal and private opinion, the policy of the state is severely outdated and out of touch with most of Arizona. Is not necessarily effective and promotes abstinence first, but we will not take any votes until next time. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Trejo. Sorry, Mr. Morales. Does anybody else have anything to say, comment, add?
Positive or negative?
I'll take whatever you want, Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President. Yeah, I hear my colleagues to the left and right of me, and I agree. There's lots of better mandates that could have been given to us by legislative folks, and it's unfortunate it took them months to get to this point to pass it. It doesn't go into effect until tomorrow, right? The 23rd, 24th? Yeah. So, whatever. But thank you.
I love when people end their comments with whatever. Okay, I do want to add one thing. I know that this we have been proactive on, knowing that it was coming. And I think that the wisdom of the school district has really prevailed here, in that we have folded this into our I'm going to say biology, I know that's not correct, our life science lessons under human growth and development, I think is what the unit is. And I really appreciate that we put it in the right place. It belongs in science. It's where it should be taught by the professionals who really understand it, so we don't have a lot of absences on that day. Because I'm a teacher too. I know I probably want to call out, even though I've never done that. But so we're done with first read if there's no other comments or questions, and we'll move on to 803. Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Item 8.03. Do we have any? Can we have a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss 803, proposed changes to governing board policy JRR, student surveys.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor to discuss?
Aye.
Aye. Item passes unanimously. Ms. Trejo, I see your light.
Yeah, so as you can see, this policy has a lot of red marks and strike through. There was one addition to one of the categories, and I believe it was about mental health for the student surveys. And I was curious as to why they were marked out, because it is referenced, the statute itself, in the category below. And you click on the link and it'll take you to the actual Arizona Revised Statutes with the entire list, including the new edition. So I did reach out to Policy Services as to why that was removed. And the reasoning was apparently there's been a lot of feedback that our policies are way too lengthy and long. That was really the main reason, but it is still there in its integrity because it's referenced. But I would recommend that we still list out the entire categories as stated in the Arizona Revised Statute. That is verbatim what's on the website, and I think for our sake we can do that, because I don't know that we're getting a whole lot of complaints about our list of long policies. So that would be my recommendation for the next approval.
Ms. Ewers.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to second what Ms. Trejo said. That was one of my main concerns, especially in a time when Tempe Elementary is known for being transparent. I don't want it to ever be that we are not making sure that everything that needs to be said and everything that is covered and making it easier for people to access the situation, not having to click around, I would prefer that it be there. Thank you.
I knew it was going to be you, Mr. Morales.
Like, I want to keep it nice. I think just to the point about surveys in general, there's been a trend the last few months, especially with elections coming up, that part of the community feels we need to talk to community more, but that same part of the community feels that we're doing too much surveying of community, especially students under 18. And I think it's very important to always remember that students under 18 are part of our community, and sometimes they, like we saw in our studies, when they are being surveyed themselves.
Mr. Lemon, you're passing on this one? And to Mr. Morales' point, I'll just say as a concluding comment, almost every single evaluation that schools go through, Cognia, I think is that what it's called now? North Central, I can't remember all this, Cognia. I believe one of the big indicators of school, student, and parent community communication is really the surveys are our only opportunity to do that, and this step slows down that process. And so I hope that when we're going through accreditation purposes, that they will remember the policies that we now have to adopt and take into consideration that it's tying our hands further. We always struggle to get the surveys back. We always struggle to have people even take them, and now we have another hurdle to jump through, but yet they want us to always involve community and know what the community wants, and I see this as a hand-tying policy, and it's very frustrating to me. Okay, any other comments or questions for 803? Okay, let's move on to 804. May I have a motion to discuss?
Motion to discuss 804, first review and proposed changes to Governing Board Policy KB, parental involvement in education.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor to discuss? Aye. Aye. Item passes unanimously. Parental involvement in education. Lights going on from Mr. Morales.
Thank you, President Windsor. This was a proposal that comes from legislation with a great title, but ultimately it is a way to take books and materials out of our libraries and that people don't agree with. And ideally, we would want to educate the whole child about everything, everywhere, and not limit that. And I think when we start talking about limiting lists of books and materials borrowed from the library, we go down a very slippery slope. So that's what I have to say about that.
Mr. Lemon?
Several years ago, the Goldwater Institute complained about the amount of money we were spending on administration rather than on teaching. And now here we have another policy or a rule that we have to enforce or take all the books out of the school. And that's a lot of administrative work. And so it's just, we can't expect people to do it for free. And I haven't seen anybody volunteer to do that that's qualified to do it. And so it's going to increase our administrative costs. And so I'm not in favor of this.
Ladies, anything from you? Okay. So we all attended, I believe, the ASBA conference and in the law conference, and in that law conference, they addressed this policy specifically with 2 exemptions. I took a picture, but now it's not blowing up, so I apologize for having old eyes. But schools without a full-time special or equivalent position is exempt from this policy, and school district libraries that have agreements with county free library districts and municipal libraries are exempt from this policy. So I want to just go on record to say that I do not want this to be leveraged so that we minimize our librarians in order to avoid this, having to comply with this policy. Librarians can and do serve a very important function in every school. And I find it to be a travesty, actually, in the age of information that we continually downplay the role of the librarian. And I have specific concerns about the area where it says procedures by which parents may receive a list of books and materials borrowed from the library by their children. I understand what the intent is there, but I think that it's short-sighted. I know that there were definitely things I looked up in the library as a kid because I didn't understand it and I didn't feel comfortable asking my parents about it. And that's kind of the wonderful part of libraries, that we get to explore topics that are important to us and sometimes privately. So I'm very concerned about that. All right, any other questions or comments? 8:05, may I have a motion to discuss?
Motion for 8:05 to discuss proposed changes to Governing Board Policy KI, visitors in schools.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor to discuss?
Aye.
Aye, item passes unanimously. Any lights on this one? Ms. Trejo.
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Driscoll, are you revising our, I know we have pretty good visitor policies already, so would this law require us to revise our existing policies, and if so, in what way?
Just in the ways that we're not aligned with the state. There's not a lot. We do a really good job about with our current policy, but we will have to make sure our wording is exactly how the state has defined it to be. I crack up because in our Montessori school at Meyer, if you go visit there, they have set procedure where the student said, you need to go sit in this chair. And I was sitting in a chair, like literally. And so we have rules and regulations for people to come visit and see our classrooms if parents want to. But this is just making sure it is in agreement with the state law.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. And I think one thing I had mentioned beforehand, I think it'd be good for us to be a part of the same process as governing board, because we do occasionally go visit schools, and I feel very confident with my current board, but you never know, and I think it's important that we continue to be accountable to the same policies as well.
Mr. Morales.
Question for Dr. Driscoll. Can you speak to the mask component of 8.05?
Again, that's, we would have to follow the law. So basically, if I read this correctly, we can't require, if a person's coming into our building to visit, we couldn't require them to wear a mask. And so we would, if we had a mask mandate that they had, we couldn't require that parent to come in and wear a mask, so, or we'd be in violation of this law.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Driscoll.
Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President. I think what struck me about this particular one is that on our webpage that it'd be easy to find it and how to do this and these policies. And I think we may need to devote some resources to making these things a little bit clearer, whether it's a facility use fee or in this case visiting schools or anything else, or opting out of being instructed in anything from a parental right to know. So that's just my comment on that. But obviously, we're not the only people in the world where I've heard complaints that it's hard to find things on our webpage because the legislature put it in. They didn't write it specifically for us. And I'm not very skillful at finding things anyway electronically. So you can ask Google. Yeah, what I ask Google. Yeah, they know. So anyway, that's the end of my comments, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Ms. Yours?
Thank you, Madam President. I'm not usually quiet, so you probably are all wondering why I didn't have a comment, but I do now. I just want to say that many of you haven't had the chance to go through all of these, and you haven't watched this last year of legislative session, where literally our job is to expand the mind of the child and give them opportunity to grow and be successful human beings. And I will say that it feels a lot and often like things like this are constantly at battle with us of giving the child a whole child experience. So I encourage us to be very aware of the people that we send there, who write these things that dictate to us how we're going to help our child grow. I just want to say that this is a point where when people say, well, do those people really matter? They really, really matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Okay, seeing no other comments or questions, let's move on to 806. 806 is a second read. This is the governing board policy JLDAB, referrals to other agencies, which we discussed before. So prior to voting to approve this or not approve this, are there any other questions about it? Or excuse me, we need a motion to discuss, I apologize.
Motion to discuss adoption of governing board policy JLDAB, referrals to other agencies.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Ms. Ewers. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion passes. So, Ms. Trejo, you have some.
Thank you, Madam President. Those of you who are not with us at the last board meeting, we did create additional partnerships with Southwest Behavioral Health, Bahia del Sol, Teros. And so some of these agencies, I'm assuming, are the ones that we could be able to refer some of our parents and community members to. But Dr. Driscoll, one thing I don't recall if I asked or if anybody asked about, how do we report this law mandates that we report the cost, I believe, of services based on access? How would we have information to that with consideration of HIPAA and other, barriers from third parties?
I'll let Ms. Grimaldi answer this for you.
Yes, and part of the law requires is that we report the dollar amount of services utilized, from my understanding. So that was my question: is how do we report that? Yes, the cost of services. That's what's part of the. So at the end of each school year, report to the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System Administration the school results. And I think I saw that we have to. I feel like I saw somewhere. Am I wrong about reporting? We have to report the costs. I'm just wondering how that's possible.
Thank you. Each agency keeps track of the presenting issues, the number of students, the sessions provided, and provides a data report for us at the end of the year.
So I think what you're asking is, how do we project the cost? That'll be something that we would have to ask them, like, how much is this, what are these services, if they were to charge, how much would that cost? Because for a lot of our families, they might get this at no cost at all. But I think what we would do is talk to our legal counsel to say, hey, do we have to give the state, this is what it would cost if they were to charge them? Because for a lot of our parents, they wouldn't get charged for these services. And once we get that determination, then we would have to work with the agency and say, hey, you would have to tell us, based on all the services you provided to this student, how much that would cost, so we could provide that to the state, because we refers you through our process.
Thank you. I think that was helpful, but I know that that's going to take additional work on our end too to create that report, and I'm assuming this was another unfunded mandate.
Yes, it will take us to document, have man hours communicating, so I always say there's nothing free. There's always a cost, whether we like it or not. And so there will be a cost that is not, the state is not giving us additional funding to do this work.
Thank you.
Mr. Morales?
Yeah, I think to that point, so coming from Jake's Law, I think Jake's Law was a step in the right direction, obviously, and kind of a response to the mental health crisis we've seen shoot up after COVID. But I think we need to see some dollars behind it, and we need to keep seeing this grow. But most importantly, that's why, as Tempe L, we care about wraparound services, right? Because we want to respond to the why behind why someone needs behavioral health services. And so that cannot be overlooked just because we have a response to the issue. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Ms. Trejo?
Sorry, just to follow up on, as mentioned, we did just create new partnerships, which is great. Have those been utilized already yet? Have we made any referrals?
Yes, we have 6 schools that have been onboarded in the last 2 weeks. And the therapists started this week in 3 of our schools, next week the other 3. And so, yeah, the referrals are already starting, and it's really exciting.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all your work on this.
Mr. Lemon, I see your light.
Thank you, Madam President. I guess we're supposed to create a policy to allow parents to annually opt in to school-based referrals. And I guess I didn't really go look at our other policy or regulation on that. Many times we don't even get new phone numbers or contact information, and whether they're having a diabetic event and the school nurse can't do anything because they can't contact the parents and they haven't opted in to any of these things, let alone Narcan. And so I'm just a little bit concerned about how these things are developed in the law, and then, you know, we're trying to do the best job we can, but again, it's a little bit difficult. So what happens if the parents don't opt in? We let the kids go crazy?
If the parents don't opt in, we cannot provide the service from the agency. And so that's the delicate balance. We could have students in need, and we could have a agency and supports that could help the student, but if the parents do not opt into that service, we cannot let them connect with that service and provide that student with a service. And it could be free, in most cases free of charge.
Yeah.
We can't, the parents would have to opt into that service.
But I think we're all pretty aware, a lot of our student discipline cases, it's either bullying or some sort of mental health crisis in their private life that's coming back to school. And so I'm just concerned. You know, we've created a step here that makes it more difficult for us to help the kid and keep them in school and learning, and makes it tougher on the teachers. And we're trying not to suspend or expel, but you get to the point where you can't do too many other things. And because people, I think, meant well about doing something here, but it's created an issue in the real world and for the classroom teachers or the administrators. And I'm just concerned, and I realize we need to make some progress, so. But that's where I'm at, just a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Actually, A and C of these two policies, this policy, I actually saw as a positive benefit. Just because we have we will be creating an annual opt-in option, that doesn't mean that if a situation arises and those parents have not opted in, that we can't contact them and ask them to opt in at that time. It actually could make things go a little faster, that if parents have signed it, that we don't have to wait around to contact them in a crisis situation. So it could actually work in our benefit depending on the situation. Also, school-based referrals, plural, and often, you know, we would have to get an opt-in for every single service. And now it sounds like it's going to be possibly a blanket, right? Is that what you guys are reading as well? For school-based referrals. Is that correct, Dr. Driscoll? I see you eyeing somebody for an answer.
I believe so. But if you guys approve this tonight, we will definitely have our tri-district lawyer make sure that that is indeed correct. In that case. But I think any of them that we have partnerships with through our MOU, they would fall under this. So yes, they would be covered in that.
Yeah. And then for C, the posting of the cost of services on the school's website. So this would be like a preliminary, if your child is referred to a psychologist or a social worker, this could be on a sliding scale where your costs lie. I actually find that to be a huge advantage to parents as well. If they look at the website, they could also ask the schools. I'm sure they can help direct them to this, because I've often seen where parents immediately say no, assuming that they can't afford it. Where if we explain it on the website or, you know, a paper that we can hand to them, we can diffuse some of that anxiety and help their children get services faster. As Dr. Driscoll said, often free.
I think Ms. Grimaldi had something to follow up.
Please, there are 2 comments. One is, we know from studies that parents trust the school setting more so than going to an agency. There's a stigma there, and it's difficult for families in crisis to go to an agency. But we're finding that if we offer it in the school setting, we see more students get help that they need, and families appreciate that and trust our school setting. And the second thing is, on the referral and the intakes, it can be done in the school setting, which also alleviates a parent having to go somewhere and get that service done. So it is helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Trejo.
Thank you. And Madam President, the part that I was referring to is actually not listed on that policy, which is if you click on the actual policy and it takes you to the website. I was asking about portion 3 that states the cost of behavioral health services provided as well. And then you have to report the survey. Are we prepared to do the survey by the end of December? I feel like we should also like maybe post more of this on there too. I think I'm in favor of adding it just to reduce confusion, because you do have to click on the actual statute and it isn't listed on the policy. Even though it's referenced, it's not listed. But it does mention that we have to do a report by the end of December.
Yes, we would be ready.
We love reports.
I know. Thank you, Dr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Ms. Trejo. I also wish that people would start realizing that life outside of high school is still just one big group project. We have those of us who will do the work and sign the forms for our kids. We have those of us who will sit belligerently in the corner and refuse to participate. And we have those who are like clueless about what's really going on. So yes, the people who tend to get elected to positions are the ones who tend to fill out the paperwork for their kids. So, all right, we need to approve. Yes, may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve item JLDAB referrals to other agencies.
Second?
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Ms. Ewers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Item passes.
So
3
you
to
can
2.
take a symbolic vote and we won't get sued. Got it.
3 to 2. Okay.
Maybe explain that they're not being team players.
What's that? No, they don't want to. Item 8.07, discussion, consideration, and possible approval to adopt a resolution. It's the resolution that was sent to you previously this week, supporting a ban on the sale of vaping products within the city of Tempe. May I have a motion to discuss?
Madam President, I move approval of this resolution.
Oh, jump to approval. Do we have a second on that? Brave souls.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay. And I just want to explain, just because I wanted to discuss first, but that's okay.
Explain your vote. Yeah.
Yes, but I would have voted yes after discussion, but that's fine. Mr. Lemon, jumping the gun. It's okay, we love you still. All right, item passes 4-1.
Madam President, I'd just like to comment when I
Sure.
lobbied for the Arizona Public Health Association, tobacco and tobacco cessation, and those sort of things was very important, and it's taken a long time to get where we're at, and now vaping has taken over, and it's particularly aimed at youth. And so I'm concerned. I don't want my work that I did 30 years ago to be for naught. So I appreciate my city doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Ms. Trejo?
I was just wondering if anyone had reached out to the city of Tempe yet.
I know that, I always butcher acronyms, but TCAA, this has been at the forefront of this movement, and I know they had city officials as well, being a part and educating them on vaping in our city. So this is bigger than just us. It's more of a city movement to say products and vaping in our city that we don't want. So.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. Any other questions, comments? We just voted first and then discussed, but that's okay. Just pointing it out. Mr. Morales?
I would like to explain my vote is the right way to say it, guys. To explain my vote, I wanted to approve this because one of the big things that people don't realize is that a lot of the vape pens, flavorless or with flavor, have higher concentrations of nicotine than the tobacco in regular cigarettes, and so they're more addictive. And so not only are they marketed to youth, but they're more addictive. So if someone trying to quit tobacco switches to this, there is a longer period of them trying to get off of the tobacco substance, but in that period they switch to nicotine, and a lot of the money goes to the same people. And so we have to make sure we're looking at all of the money trails too. So, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Okay, item 9.01, reports from standing committees. I believe we have one. Ms. Ewers.
Thank you, Madam President. We met with we had our insurance fund meeting last Friday, and a few notes from that. I just want to first thank all of those who are members for using mail order pharmacy. Mail order, I know, is probably not as easy as driving up to your Walgreens and getting it, but it actually is, and let me tell you why. You're getting usually a 90-day prescription, so you have 3 months where you don't have to waste the gas and the time to go up and get it, and you're also helping the plan keep costs down, which allows us to give you more benefits. So I just want to thank, that's up. I want to thank everybody for participating in that. I'm not sure if the community knows, but we are self-insured, which makes us extremely fiscally responsible for the money that we use, the claims and the benefits that we give. And in that, I found out through being a school board member that, and reminded daily that the fact that we're offering high deductible plans and PPOs for our employees is rare. As we are looking at a trend across the country, they are continually making, the deductibles higher, the amount that you pay in higher, and the fact that you can't have really good coverage, it's just getting depleted. And that's out of survival. It's not that they want to do that. So our district is constantly, and with the help of Eric Thompson, going through and looking at ways that we can keep, one, with your help, costs down, and two, benefits up. So I want to thank you all for staying in network. That's been a big deal for us. And over 5 years, this district has not had to change its employee cost, meaning the money that the employees put into this plan, we haven't had to change. And I looked at trends and I found that has not happened, but less than like 2% in the country. So I just want to, I want to thank the district, and I want to make sure that everyone knows that we are doing our best to make sure that your physical and mental health is taken care of. It's utmost important to us and for our children. The theme this time is take a break and breathe. And I think after we just discussed some of those things that we're not so happy about tonight on our way when we get in the car, we all need to take a breath and breathe. We used to have a process where we worked with a program like Weight Watchers to help those who wanted to lose weight or get more fit or bring their nutritional value up. And since that program has been suspended, but we have this really cool new thing coming up. It's called Farm Bag Pilot. First of all, they're doing cooking classes, which is absolutely awesome, and they filled up like that, so we know there's a demand for them. And in the cooking classes, or in this farm bag, it's kind of gonna be related to what they're learning in the cooking classes, but from what I understand, which I was a little nervous about, is if I got this farm bag, one, I'm looking at this picture, and half of these vegetables, I don't know what they are, which is not good, but I need to know, and my 7-year-old needs to know too. And two, I wouldn't know what to do with them. What do you put on them? How do they, well, they're gonna come with recipes. So it's very exciting, and school board members, I did rally for us, and we can participate. So in the middle of October, look for, you're gonna just go online, and then you'll come here to pick it up. From what I understand, we'll get more directions as this gets solidified, but I think it's really cool. And you can do add-ons like bread, eggs, and honey. And for anybody who's having allergies right now, the best thing you can do is 1 spoon, any type spoon, no matter how, I like to do a big spoon because I really like honey. Get it in your system because it helps you build the immunity to the pollens that we're having. So look at this. This is like all encompassing. It's so exciting. So I had to share that with you. School board members can participate in October, like I said. Now, I just got you healthy, but I'm gonna make it worth your while. Dairy Queen, October 20th, 5 to 8 o'clock. Go and visit it. I think their ice cream might be a little bit better than others. I don't know, for healthy calories. I don't know. It sounds good to me. So eat your vegetables and then treat yourself on October 20th and help the schools. And then it's a fundraiser. And then, yeah, not everybody just meet me there on October 20th. It'll be a good time. But go ahead and meet me there on October 20th. It'll be a good time. Mark your calendars, February 18th of 2020, 2023, we already missed it. We didn't. February 18th, we're doing the 5K. And what's cool is that we've gotten some scholarships from the Thai Foundation for some of our running students to attend, which is just awesome. And I just want to encourage all of you to do it. Now, I am inviting you to join me. I last year learned that there is a Sonic in our group. His name is Eric Thompson. And as my son would say, he drove by, he said, "Mom, that's your goal for next year, to beat that man." So I have not trained professionally, and I will probably never beat you because you are Sonic. But if you want to come and either be a Sonic or a walker with me and chit chat about life, it's gonna be done on February 18th, so there's something for everyone. So don't say, "Oh no, I can't do a 5K. If I can do one, we can all do one. So our next meeting is in December, and that's my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sewers. Item 10.01, board members' points of information. We all talked out? All right. Oh, no. I was moving on, Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President. I was pleased to go to the Arizona School Board Association legislative meeting on Saturday, whenever it was, as an alternate. Ms. Ewers was there, and Ms. Trejo conducted the entire meeting for hours. And both of my colleagues here did a wonderful job, and I only had to substitute for about 5 minutes, and I didn't have to do anything. So it was really good. And so it's much better than previously when I've attended those events where we'd hold up paddles and they'd count by hand, and it was a very archaic way to do business, and they just did clickers, and they had tremendous response, and it moved quite quickly. So I appreciate that. The other thing that last week, several of the board members and many of the people in the audience went to ASU for the Dreamscape Laboratory experience, and this virtual sort of things. And I was pleased to see that it really focused on some STEM subjects and extraterrestrial geology and biology. And so it was a fun event, and I appreciate it. It's going to be a while before they get the cost down to where we can use it for lessons, but it's going to be there in the future. So I think that's good. So but ASU was very solicitous of us and our superintendent, and it was really, really cool. So thank you. And finally, I need to apologize to Dr. Driscoll, because when I was in that event, there was some foreign animal that sneezed and it dripped on us. And the comment was that it was a hair growth thing. And several of my other colleagues in our exploratory group also laughed. And so I need to apologize, Dr. Driscoll. I shouldn't bully, I shouldn't make fun. And because I know that the stress we give you is probably attributing to the, I'll stop here. Thank you, Madam President. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Ms. Ewers?
Today in executive session, I would be remiss if I did not tell everyone to please talk to your kids about fentanyl. And if you didn't, is it not on?
It was study session,
What did I
not
call it?
executive session.
Oh, it was not an executive session, my bad. A study session, thank you. And if you don't know the facts or haven't gotten any information on it, I know that's what can make you uncomfortable about talking about it. So talknowaz.com. I'm going to start saying, please talk to your kids about fentanyl, and go to talknowaz.com to continually add information on this. I did confirm tonight that it's killing our kids at a faster rate than anything else. And Dr. Driscoll, I would like to thank you based on our experience that we had this week with ASU. You've done a very good job reaching out to them. They're community members of ours. They want to help us. You know, sometimes we forget in our lives, not just as in the school board or as people that are working in schools, but in our lives, that you got to just reach out sometimes, and the resources are there. And you're setting a very good example for us of that. So I want to thank you. We are constantly, as a board, we don't just eat bonbons for 2 weeks and then come to this meeting and talk on the microphone and feel cool about ourselves. Every single person I have seen on this dais at least 2 to 3 times in the last 10 days of my life. So it's really, I want the community to know that this is a strong board, and I hope that you know that we want to continue making things better, and we want to continue to educate ourselves so we can help you and educate you. And I just want to thank them for showing up. And please reach out to the resources that we have. We have wonderful new resources even. And so please use them. It's a time to reach out and say, hey, I need some help if you need it, or I need some guidance, or I need some understanding. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. Over the last couple weeks, I have attended the Connolly Middle School Band and Orchestra concert, which they moved to the gym because there were so many audience members. And I haven't remembered it being that big before, so I was pretty impressed by that. And then last night went to the Tempe Parents for the Gifted meeting along with Ms. Ewers' mother and our very illustrious Dr. Driscoll, who decided to just take questions from the audience, which I thought was very risky, but he did it well. And we were reminded in there multiple times that the arts and music is what parents are wanting more of. They mentioned immersion classes, but mostly it was arts and music, which is also arts, right? Fine arts. And so I know Tempe is very supportive of that, and I'm grateful that we are, and that's what I've done this week. So item 10.0, oh, did I miss somebody, Ms. Trejo? No, oh, sorry. Item 10.01, oh no, sorry. 11.01, announcements, upcoming events. Parent-teacher conferences will be held from Tuesday, September 27th through Thursday, September 29th. Tempe Tardiata will be held on Sunday, October 2nd from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Tempe Community Complex. Fall break, yay, Monday, October 3rd through Friday, October 7th, all schools will be closed. Oktoberfest at Tempe Town Lake, which benefits Tempe Sister Cities, will be held on Friday, October 7th from 5 p.m. to midnight, Saturday, October 8th from 10 a.m. to midnight, and Sunday, October 9th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. at Tempe Town Lake. There will be a virtual special governing board meeting on Wednesday, October 12th at 11 a.m. There will be an agenda committee meeting on Wednesday, October 12th at 11:45 a.m. The 39th Annual Don Carlos Humanitarian Awards Ceremony and Dinner will take place on Wednesday, October 12th at 5:30 p.m. at the SRP Para Club. And there will be a study session on Wednesday, October 19th at 5:30 p.m. and a regularly scheduled governing board meeting at 7 p.m. in the Karen Arredondo Governing Board room. And that's it. 11.02, review of board calendar. So I think that we were looking at who is going to possibly be able to represent at the Tardeada, Oktoberfest, and Don Carlos. So, anybody?
Madam President, I've already bought a ticket for the Don Carlos, so I traditionally go.
Great.
And whether there's other district people or not, it's great.
Okay, Charlotte Windsor will be attending that too.
And I often go to the Tardeada on Sunday afternoon. It's a great free event right across the street here. The parking's free, and the music and dancing's good.
I want to see you dancing. That would be wonderful. So we need to post Don Carlos and Tardeada, because I know Miss Yours does that, right?
Yep.
October.
And then Oktoberfest. We've received an invite to march in the parade, right?
Yes. Miss Rouse.
And we need to let somebody know.
Yes, she's on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Rouse.
Yes, I have. Oh, there we go. Yes, I have put all three in the calendar and talked to Heather about them, and she has approved we can walk with our families on the Oktoberfest parade. So pending the 10-week-old, I will either bring 10-week-old Penelope Jane with us or just us two, walking by our lonesome. But definitely the Tempe Tardeada is like a great event. There's like free mariachi all day and great food. And our district is tabling there, I assume. I always see them at the beginning, get the good spot. Yeah, so definitely.
Thank you. And Ms. Trejo?
Yeah, I should be able to attend the Oktoberfest, the Don Carlos, and the Tardeada.
Excellent. Miss Yours?
Tardeada, Oktoberfest. And those are the main things. The Don Carlos, unfortunately, we have karate testing.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, board, for being so visible and supportive of our community. Item 12.01, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Ms. Ewers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to adjourn is passed.